Thanks for checking out the latest real conversation from Oh My Talking Head, a production of Oh No He Did Entertainment under the auspices of Cottrell Jones Multimedia, respectively and respectfully. You can find us most everywhere online at Oh My Talking Head, at Oh No He Did ENT, and at Cottrell Jones MM. All are highly Googleable, I assure you. So please look us up, hook us up with a like, share, follow. Bonebreaker Studios, I'm here. You're out there. Come on in. Let's get into a real conversation, shall we? And with whom will we be speaking today? Lyricist, recording artist, Grammy seeker, dream maker, self-professed brown recluse of the World Wide Web, passionate about her fans, making meaningful connections and infusing every interaction with positivity. Our guest weekly e-newsletter and ad hoc updates utilize the means of online communications that existed way before social media and chat rooms. Email, actual email. Imagine that. And you know what? I actually read those emails. I look forward to those emails and I reply sometimes. And when I do, I get a response, which is really cool. And I can tell you this, that ain't regular, but it's the right thing to do when you care. That's what this is all about. Artists caring and we caring about those artists. Once you hear her music, you hear back from her in her reply or a quick note, you get it. She does care. She cares enough to pour into her craft, into her cabal of family, friends, and fans. You really feel a part of it as well. People, cool people, lean in, prepare yourselves for a real conversation with the real lead artist for Advocate Entertainment, Rochelle Bloom.
What up, everybody?
Do you approve of the intro?
Yes.
I
Oh,
tried to do justice.
so you really just chopping this up, so it ain't gonna be streamed through.
Not strung through. The natural stuff, um, it will work itself in. But
Oh,
for offshoot conversations that are just kind of just chunk,
okay,
we'll cut them out.
cool. All right,
Yeah. So I mean, if you feel an offshoot, I can edit, but by and large, those chunks where it just feels natural, leave them.
all right, cool. Well, let's just roll through it like it's a real thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm a dessert first kind of guy. I
Uh,
like to lead with the sweet stuff. And
okay.
I will tell you what you already know and probably hear several times a day. You are as beautiful a presence and a spirit as I have ever encountered since we first met in the double aughts. Like, I know it feels like a long time ago, but it's been that long. And in the time before and in the time since, you have a unique beauty that just like lights up a room, lights up my life. And I'm giving you those flowers right
Well, I
now. Now, the first
appreciate that.
question.
Oh,
Absolutely. The first question, though, how do you do that? Like, I mean, it's literally been decades. And it's like you don't age. You showed up beautiful in every which way.
it has
Like
not been decades, but
it, you
first,
well, let me think now. It has at least been 10 years.
when did I meet you?
I think it was like in the oh something.
No,
Like, so maybe not oh 04. Okay,
no,
all right.
I never even lived in Atlanta. Then.
Oh, okay. So
So
maybe
yeah.
that when did you come to Atlanta?
Sometime in 2013,
2012, 2013?
14, something. Yeah. I was like, this is why I'm like, it
No, it's okay.
feels
But
like
see,
we've been connected. It just feels that way.
okay, that's what it's okay. So maybe if maybe it has not quite been 10 years.
It just feels that way.
It feels that way, but see, to say it that way feels like drudgery, and it's been nothing but. It's nothing but love and
But
light. Like there's
yeah,
always
think
every time.
I
You
think
need
it's
Mhm.
awesome to hear just what a beautiful intro, just to see it from your perspective on the other end of opening the emails and stuff like that, and how you feel connected, how you feel like it's been longer than it really is.
Yeah.
Um, that's dope because I never get to hear how people feel about it on the other side, or just like just um being able to talk to somebody on the other side besides a email reply or a response. So it's good to hear how you feel connected and stuff like that. And it's coming across. So I think that's super dope. And I appreciate you, oh.
Absolutely. I mean, I appreciate appreciation. I think like most people do. And there are times where I understand that it can't be doled out. If you're Barack and Michelle Obama, or you're Jay-Z and Beyonce, it's actually literally dangerous for you to have that kind of interaction with just for lack of better terms, a random person. As much as a fan knows or wants to know about everything that J and B and Blue Ivy and all of them are doing, you can't just come up and throw a hug around folks and stuff like that. You got security. That's I literally don't know you. But at the level when you don't have, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of fans who would have access and want that from you, then you can afford to be this kind of cordial and connected. It bewildered me in the space that we're in the market that we're in, when we would have independent artists that would not. I've known independent artists to like have uh I don't want to diminish them, but they've had less than the fan base that Beyonce has. And the moment they finish performing or having their exposure, they would go behind a velvet rope and separate themselves. Why do that? There are people who care and want to show you that they care, and by your own admission, feels good, and it makes the fans feel good as well. I've felt
Yeah.
nothing but warmth from you, and I just want to, let you know, and I'm glad that you receive it as warm.
Yeah. But I'll speak on the behalf of the people that do it.
Yeah,
It's just multiple reasons. Some people it's just safety issue if you're on Beyonce's level. So I get
right,
other
right.
people are dealing with like social anxiety that you don't even know about.
Mm,
And they have to get off stage as soon as they're done because maybe they depleted their energy, or you know what I'm saying? You don't know like what they're dealing with mentally. Cause our art is a superhero kind of costume that we put on. You know what I'm saying? It has the light that shines, but every superhero has has their flaws that you don't see, but you can just make assumptions about. And then again, you do have the people that you are talking about who just be like, "All right, cool, I'm out. I don't care. I got my
right.
and I'm done." Like doing it like almost as a hustle. So, um, it's multiple reasons though.
I get that. I appreciate that, and in fact, you that is kind of a convicting statement. I tell people and folks who really know me, I show up as an extrovert, but I'm really an introvert with extrovert tendencies for
Yeah,
people that I know. And with introverts, public interactions are draining. So
right.
if you're walking the line of having a beautiful art to share with the world, but that's what you wanted to share and not so much of yourself,
Yeah,
then the demand for yourself, it drains you like one of those video game characters. Your energy level just goes down, 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 and when you're spent, you're spent. So
right.
I get that. I think that
Yeah.
that's a good observation.
I'm like that too. People think I'm extroverted, but I'm not.
See,
I
you
just
have
gotta
the
it's
double.
work.
Ooh,
It's work. Like, and it's so interesting because when I'm not out networking or, performing or doing my thing, and it's just say like it's a family event or something, I
right.
completely turn off. Like, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just there, like, because it feels like, oh, cool, I don't have to
Ooh.
work. So I'm like literally off.
Well, now imagine that, like, and I know this has been the situation, but I'm interested in the answer. You're out at one of these family gatherings, and maybe you're in between locations or something. You pull up to a gas station, and you might be just finishing up at the pump, going in to pay, and this is Atlanta, so somebody's going to come up and say like, "Hey, baby, you ought to smile more." And action. What? See, you're smiling now, and I appreciate that. But you encountered that. I can tell you've encountered that experience. What? How does that make you feel? Go ahead and kind of speak on it and be like, leave me alone or all thank you. What do you think?
And it's just like, oh, you're right. I should joy is your strength. So maybe I should be more joyful. Like, but I mean, it's just dudes talking. Like another
Absolutely.
day on
Well,
the playground, it is what it is.
maybe that's the wisdom you've acquired over life of stuff, but I have heard that can be so like bothersome and off-putting as well. Like to be like, you know what, I have to be on 10 just because I'm out here and you think I should, but uh you catch somebody on that bad day, you should smile more. You should mind your business,
I just maybe that just think it's an awkward way of trying to shoot your shot. Like not
it,
everybody has the gift of game.
oh, absolutely. Oh, okay. Let me rebut and say, yeah, you're absolutely right. Because if you run across somebody who has an intimidating beauty and they've heard everything, but this is Atlanta, it's really big and really small at the same time,
Right.
then you just be like, God, there she is, and I'm not ready, but when will I ever see her again? So let me come up with the smoothest line of hey, you should smile more. And that's all you got. And so then if you are a gracious and wonderful person and you give grace, it goes well.
You
If
know,
you've been watching too much Love and or Children of Hip Hop or something like that, it's not gonna go good. You're gonna get yourself a viral moment in the bad way.
it's so funny because like Tevin Campbell wrote a song about that. That exact thing, like talking to somebody.
Woo.
But he was gonna say, which I mean, I love that. I love real songs about real things.
Mm,
It just made me think about that when you said,
See, I'm gonna get back on because on the one hand, I want to go on that topic, but I will not go on it on camera. But I know you have a story or three about some awkward gas station conversation, and you summed it up enough lovely to say that's just dudes being dudes. Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, it is. I don't pay too much attention to it. It's no,
Well,
as long
I'm
as
glad.
they don't hands on
That's
me, we're good.
you let somebody off without being emasculated. That's graceful. Now, I have more flowers for you, um, but these probably have like some prickly thorns to some people who can't take it
All right.
because not only do you have like the countenance, the lovely spirit, but you got a sharp sword. I think sometimes people might just take the cute and run with that. No, there's the bars, and if you're the jealous type, maybe put your mic away when she's around. But that blade has been forged and tempered with hot 16s reference and with humility, wielded with an unmatched skill. You are the combination of lovely, likable, and lyrical. Folks have made careers off of being just one of those, and yet you embody all three. Now, how and why do you think this is, and how important is that you be all three?
Um, I'm really not trying to be anything but who I am. So it's just really just authentic to me and just what I do. Um, what did you say? Lyrically?
Mhm.
Except lyrically.
Except lyrical. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a gifting, but that's I always want to be lyrically like every like real rapper does. Like it's something that has ego ties to that. But everything else is just natural.
Mm.
In a sense, you don't really force it. Um, yeah, it's
But now
just
there are people who they have lanes in which they swim, and the way that folks pay bills and feed themselves, I'm not going to look down on. But there are conversations when people are trying to arrange the pantheon of lyrical rappers. There's some people who probably believe that they belong, but the way that they've chosen to present themselves in the public eye, no, like you don't get to be there. Uh, I'm not. I won't call any names because that's their time, and we're here to talk about you. But because you have chosen to hone on the craft as a priority. It shows up. And so then if someone has a conversation about lyricism, then you go right to the bag and say, you know what? I said this, I tell a story of that. That's where you lean. Whereas somebody else, um, you almost change the octaves in your voice. When you talk about their lyricism, it says, "Oh, such and such. Oh man, they are so fine. Oh yeah, it'll be hot every time and stuff like that, like a fashion plate." Yeah, but what about the bar? Oh, they got bars. They got rhymes. Uh-huh. See? That will not be the Hot 16. Your incarnation of Hot 16, that's what the lead is, the bars. And then you go, oh, and she look all right too. Let the other thing be ancillary. But what is the primary? Primary is that sword. So if you're a beautiful swordsman, that's fine. But the sword first. So I'm wanted to get that clear. It's like, you know what? You might draw near, but if you draw near with your ego and think it's because you got bars over her, you might want to check that.
Man, and a lot of that you're speaking of is all like a psychological game that
It
people
is.
fit into. You know, if you can manipulate people into believing that you are this, that, and the other thing, but you're really just this, and you're just working your greatest asset and you're eating off your greatest asset, then it is what it is. It's on the people because they're obviously buying into that. Because if they weren't, you wouldn't be whoever it is wouldn't be where they're at.
Now, that makes me wonder. Um, there are certain artists who I've known for, I mean, known like not personally, but I've watched their careers. And so then, rest in peace to somebody like Biz Markie. Before Biz Markie has, just a friend, there's a tremendous career of work back from scratchy mixtapes, all the way up through Juice Crew and beyond. Uh, and a career afterward as a DJ and public figure. But right at that, you got what I need. That is the hit. So
Right.
then I would encourage artists that were around me that came through Bone Breaker Studios to be very careful everything that they put in the microphone, everything that they release, because what catches on, as you say, amongst the people, that ends up being the thing that'll feed you, and you will have to do that over and over again. A lot of
Right.
times it works out. Dougie Fresh, if he shows up, he has to do one or two songs. Of course, he's going to do the show, whether Slick Rick shows up or not. He might do that AOI, but basically, Lottie Dottie, if Slick Rick is going to be a delete, but he could make a career and be happy doing those two songs versus somebody else like gosh, I can't think of somebody who is like famous, who might be stuck with a song. Like, like there's a song that they do that they have to do, but it's not the song that they want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe it's Biz. I love Nobody Beats the Biz. That's like my favorite song from him. But if he shows up and does Just a Friend, people, I mean, and doesn't do Just a Friend, sorry, then people are going to be like, what is this, man? Do the hits.
Right.
So when you do like your work, has there ever been a time where you've had to tamp down who you are, maybe in the presence of others, so that you could make the connection or make the living? Have you had to choose singles and say, I better not release that, it goes against brand, but I really want to do it? Speak on like you navigating the space of showing up as exactly who you want to be in the public sphere versus who you have to be to make it work, so to speak.
Um, for me, I think it's a balance. I think every artist has their A and B side. Um, so maybe I want to do so really it kind of really breaks down for two different things for me. Some things it's just like, oh, maybe I just want to do more lyrical stuff, just rapidy rap stuff. And then the other side of me is um kind of doing playing toward the top 40 side in my way, in my specific way of doing it, because it's never going to be, because it's always going to have like a dark kind of feel, mid tempo dark kind of feel. It's in its own kind of lane. But I think my balance is the commercial side and like the rapidy rap side. But I like them both. But I know that some people are more so liking the rap stuff, and some people more so like the kind of top 40 pop stuff. Cause I kind of have both kind of things sometimes going on. Um and it's just like understanding my audience. Like, I love pop music, but my fans like rap stuff. So I got to still deliver to my rap fans at the same time, even though I kind of want to do more bigger pop records. So it's a balance, but I think it's A side, B side. You can feed both. And I'm happy doing everything that I do. It's so interesting because I was watching Tank Show R&B Money, and Marsha Ambrosius was on it. And she like she said everything that I was thinking in like the first 5 minutes about like, she was like, y'all like the song, I hope I cheat on you with a basketball player. Y'all love that. But I wrote, So Far Away, Sour Times, and all these like deep records. But y'all remember me and y'all like, I hope she cheat on you with a basketball player. I mean, she just summed it up. Like, people like simple, funny stuff. Like, that's gonna get people's it connects to more of an audience. Cause at the end of the day, like, most of my listeners are intelligent listeners, they're above average, but the mass of people, they're at this level, and you got to be able to speak to them as well. Um, and that's what it's about, the A side, B side connecting together. So I don't really uh it's just a balancing act, that's all. But I love all the music I make for the most part. I'm just not making stuff just to make stuff.
That right there, I think ties it lovely. You're not making stuff to make things, and it makes me think about Tupac's legacy.
Mm,
There are songs that were never meant to see the light of day, and will whenever people want to get in an extended conversation about Tupac's career, I'll tell them the first two albums are what you want to hear from Tupac. Everything else, it starts to be smudges on. But to me, Tupacalypse Now was his sole five mic album. Back when five mics meant something.
mm-hmm.
People will say other songs, and I can't argue with them. Especially when they bring the merits and what it does to touch their hearts and stuff. But then when you get further and further into the Machiavelli range after he's gone, well, he's not there to curate. It's almost as though people raided his locker, pulled out private pages of his diary, and said, "Okay, let's just put that out because we have it." And so that when you have the gift of being able to choose what you put out, and you have that control, I think artists absolutely should exercise that. But I also think that they should be ready to live with whatever the consequences, fallout, or even positive result is of that. If you present yourself as like, I'm going to be the pretty princess, uh almost the two sides of, say, a Nicki Minaj. Nicki can get lyric without a doubt,
Right,
but she also is Barbie. She can sell both sides of it.
right.
If people latch on to the Barbie and they say, oh, okay, well, she's what was the Regis and Kelly. If
Mm-hmm.
she's Regis and Kelly Barbie, and that's what people latch on to, and she goes multi-platinum with that, when she tries to come back on the block with the bars, and somebody spits that in her direction, like, hey, look, it's Barbie, she's back. And it's not Barbie bars no more, it's Barbie doll. You got to take that. That's what you put out there, that's what you're stuck with. Versus if every time you put it out and say, you know what, this is who I am, this is what I want to be at the core, this is it. It might not get you as far on one lane, but I think that you can hold your head high and say, I showed up exactly who I am. And there is a lane where people are who they are, and folks love them for it.
Right.
Whether you agree or not. And there's a couple of folks who do that who incense me, but that's okay. I'm not their cup of tea. That's fine. But they are who they are, and they're consistent.
Yeah. But that's like A side, B side with Nikki too.
Facts.
Um
She has. I'm never telling anybody she doesn't have the bars.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I argue all day with that one.
don't. Yeah. What they say. In argument between you and a fool, nobody can tell the difference from a distance. Yeah. Don't waste that in it.
Yeah. Well, I
No.
mean, I still say what needs to be said and just
Oh
leave it
sure.
because
And who gonna check you?
you
Who gonna
can't take
check?
talent away from people. It is what it is.
It is. Now, to the end of what people see and what you want them to see and how you want to be presented and represented, just imagine if you were outside of yourself, you got to observe yourself walking into a room. I have three questions. And so then I want to pose them to you one at a time, let you take a nibble off the sandwich, and then we move on to the next topic. So just imagine a situation of you in a ballroom, maybe at a banquet table, and you watch walk into a room. As an onlooker, what do you think your first impression would be?
Well, as an onlooker, I do that anyway. When I walk to my door and look at the ring light, I mean the ringer bell thing on camera, I'll be like, yo, why am I walking like this? Why is she walking like this? Get some posture, girl. Um, but in any room, it's like they need to know just by looking at me that I'm an artist.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So now I know you might have even heard the whispers as yourself, but again, thinking of yourself as an onlooker, there'll be people who lean into you and say, "Who is that?" What would you tell those people?
The people who say, who is, are they asking me who is that?
They're asking you. They lean into you. They see the wonderful you. They say like, "Man, that's Rochelle Bloom." And you
Yeah.
say Rochelle Bloom, and then they all of those they listed for how you're positioned in this scenario. You're somebody who would have an answer to that. What do you tell them?
Oh, if I see myself and like, who's that? I'm
Yeah.
like, that's Rochelle Bloom, the 8-time Grammy Award winner,
Hey,
like the most album of the year rap album. You know who that is.
talk to them.
You know who that is.
Talk that talk. That's
He
exactly
may
what
be
I was looking.
serious, but like you heard that music in
Okay.
every television, film show, radio. Like, come on.
See, actually, I think that on the one hand, you're being gracious because you want the people to have information. I'm that onlooker who, depending on how tolerant I feel, I might just tell them to scooch down and let somebody more informed sit there. I was like, what? That's like, that's Rochelle Bloom. You don't know who that? Hey, scooch down, scooch down. Hey, you come here. I thought you knew something. Hey, yeah, that's Rochelle. She's in. You know about her, right? Good. All right. Well, you sit next to me the rest of the night. So, third question. Uh, after all of the whispers are done, and you had a chance to make whatever impression upon the folks gathered are there, you're walking out of the room. What impression would you want to leave once you leave that place?
Well, if this was a room that I performed in, I want people to leave moved by my music, like feel like they had an experience, feel like I spoke to their heart, feel like they're inspired, ready to do something. Um, just changing the emotion or feel connected to me at that point.
Huh, connected to you. Okay, I'll go with that. I mean, it's on brand and it's a welcome answer. It's just one that I wouldn't have anticipated. But yeah, that connection actually it ties into what it's all about with the fest. I like that. Okay, so now some folks that you've been connected with, or maybe have a whisper or two to say about you, have been your onlookers, folks you've encountered over the career. It might surprise some folks who hadn't had a chance to do their research, their Googles on you. I want to throw out some names, some entities, just to get impressions of what your brush with them was, what your linkage, maybe your connection impressions. Tell me something about Joe Budden. You've had a brush with Joe Budden in some way, shape, or form.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was just online. Like, I did some rapping stuff online and I sent it to him. And then he
Okay.
sent back all these fire emojis. And to me, Joe doing that for me, because Joe was a lyricist, like Slaughterhouse, all that. He made me feel like I had nothing else to prove lyrically. Cause like my entire life it has kind of always been like, look at me, I can rap, I can rap, I can rap, I can look at me, look at me. You know what I'm saying? Like getting people to notice, like I got bars and stuff. But then when he did that, it was like, I have nothing left to prove. Now I can work on my purpose, which is like creating songs. Lyrics to me just create moments. Like it's just a moment. Songs last forever. They create legacies. And that's what I'm focused on doing. I feel like his response like that freed me up to focus on legacy, to focus on getting these Grammys, to focus on making incredible songs and not just incredible verses.
Hmm. Choosing one of the two words, validation or permission, to do what you said, to make songs from the moments that you create. Which do you think you would lean towards then? Because you get that endorsement from Joe Budden. Do you think that that gives you validation as a lyricist, or does it give you permission to do songs? If you had to choose.
The first thing in my mind is just validation.
Okay, certainly,
Yeah.
certainly. I go with that, and I dare say I don't know if it's something that you consider, but it's something that you do naturally. Validation as a person. I think that fandom. One of the reasons that I envisioned this O Jones Music Fest is not for megalomania. It's a yearning to some way give back to folks that I value for their art, but also for their humanity. It's like you are definitely somebody who could easily say, "Oh, well, thank you," and keep it moving. But that hadn't been you. It's like, wow, you dig me like that, you big up me like that. I'm glad I received that. As a matter of fact, you better lean in here and let's get this picture together because I want to enjoy this moment with you. And so then that's validation, one human to another. I'm not gonna spit no bars. you know, there wouldn't be a reason for us to have that moment of celebration, and yet you give it and give it freely. That's important. So then when people say, "Oh, it don't matter. I just need, the respect and the chance," and what you kind of want validation. You want to be acknowledged by somebody who you hold in high regard.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Yeah.
very honest for you to respond in that way, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. And again, I appreciate you. Like I appreciate you really being a real fan of this music stuff and independent artists and things like that. Like and your support, like it's unmatched. Even this your whole fest idea is unmatched. Like if people were as passionate about um music and getting people together like you were, like it'd be a lot of bigger things happening with more talented people in Atlanta. So big ups to you.
Hey, light skinned folk blush. So I got rosy red cheeks over here, and they tight. Because I mean, it just puts a big grin, and it's exactly what I want to do. In fact, it just doesn't make sense not to. But
Yeah.
in this environment where the up and the down of it, it's the actual destruction of the middleman and the label for the most part. There was a time in like say the early to mid '90s, you needed a Bad Boy or a Rockefeller or something like that to give imprint and platform to folks who you wouldn't know and to put a stamp on somebody. You know, why should we listen to Skullduggery? Because he's a no limit soldier. Oh, you know, versus a whole bunch of people saying, Skullduggery, that's my dude, man. I stand on that with 10 toes and I'll fight somebody. You know, it's like that fervor that people would have, and then why would they do so? Well, because Skullduggery is my dude. You know, he showed up around the block and gave me money when I needed it. You know, whatever it was, they made a human connection. They made you feel something about what they were doing, and they gave it back to you. I want to celebrate that. You know, that energy. The naming of the fest is something that's going to be seen probably by whoever's new to the party as some version of megalomania. Like, you know what, this guy loves his name so much he just stuck it in the fest. And I'm like, no. Of all the monikers I've ever had, O Jones is the one that sticks. I've got
Yeah.
about 20 or 30 different handles online, and none of them stick. And I thought several were really good. But when I go to the radio station or out and about, or I send emails or chats, even though they see my first name, they'll go, "Oh, Jones." All right, well, if that's stuck, that's what we're going with. So it just so happens to be the popular thing. But in that spirit, when I'm tweeting along, I'm tagging, I'm posting, I'm forwarding, I'm commenting, it's fine. I want that, but I want another me, another 10, another 100 me's to show up for you, have that same fervor because you deserve it. You putting that energy out like that. Even if they did, you would appreciate them too. So I think that we just gonna have an upward spiral of just showing the love, showing it back, showing the love like she's awesome, no, he's awesome, and we'll keep it going.
It's the way to do it.
Absolute. I got another name, Ludacris. Tell me something about your brush with Luda.
Um, just a good dude,
Okay,
solid person.
okay,
I rocks with I rocks with Ludacris.
yeah. I'm not gonna spoil. There's a little something in the bio on your site there and stuff. People go in there, but I'm just not randomly pulling out names. You know, but at the same time, I'm not gonna press because I mean, you know, it's life. You know, the situations that gave rise to commentary, they can change. There. So what is said is all that'll be said. If y'all want to know more, we're going to certainly share the ways that you can get up and keep up with Rochelle Bloom. You know, after we have this real conversation, sure. So I got one more. The TV series Charmed.
What's the question?
Oh well, you brush with that. Like what's your dealings? What's your feelings with the because I saw it in the bio and I was like, I think you had like an in with them or something. Just
Um, I had a record on this show. Um, it was incredible. Like just to hear your music on in a popular series like that. Just grateful, glory to God on that because it had nothing to do with me, all him. Um, and just been trying to keep up that those showings, those music showings and TV film stuff too. So hopefully there's more in the works for that. Just waiting for some more stuff to come out. But yeah, it's definitely incredible, and I really am just grateful to have that opportunity to be able to do that.
just something slight, something light. You know, I see folks she downplayed that. And it was just like, you know, I got music on a nationally
Oh,
televised series. You know,
it,
some slight.
it's pretty big. I'm just grateful. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. Is just grateful, you know, to be able to have, every little victory. I'm just grateful for because it takes like a lot of work, a lot of work just to get those steps of victory until everything finally explodes. Um, I'm waiting for that life-changing success in my music career. And just every stare keeps my hope going, you know? It keeps the hope going.
I think people always talk in terms of senses, like touch, taste, feel, smell, all that. I'm going like your sense of gratitude. I think your sense of gratitude and your sense of humor are also powerful senses that'll get you through this life. And you're absolutely right. Celebrating the little victories, and I mean, heck, stick your chest out for the big victories as well. Why wait to celebrate? If there's something as big as that, because it's not something that's afforded to others. But also, I can tell like when you get those, someone gets that Grammy or that Emmy or whatever award they're getting, and you can see them being truly grateful and humbled in the moment. I like that versus maybe somebody who is trying to force the tears of joy. I'm going like I get it. It is the appropriate response, but uh, if it doesn't feel that way, don't force it. But at the same time, if it does feel that way, don't hold it back and try to be too cool for school.
Right.
Really be grateful and take it in. So I feel that. Now, I want you to know that you're my hero.
Oh,
Um, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the one thing, and I'll tell you why. I have a definition of hero that ends up being really simple and really it doesn't exclude anyone. The one thing that's required of a hero is to step up. You step up no matter who's around or what they're facing. It's kind of like in the MCU movies. You got a whole range of Avengers that say like, "Oh, well, Thanos is here. Who's gonna go face him?" Yeah, well, send the Hulk. Sure, you'll send the Hulk. Thor, you got your hammer? Go get him. Iron Man, certainly. Hawkeye, yep. I got bow, arrow, and a whole bunch of guts, and I'm going. If you're the Black Widow, I'm going. I'm an Avenger. I step up because Earth needs me to defend her. So it's one of those things where, like, you step up and you step into your space. People know you. Hey, I'm glad to see them. I'm gonna give them everything that they want from these 16s. They gonna get it. I don't know you. Right. Well, I got the hot mic and I'm finna show you. You step up. And so, in that regard, being your true, authentic self, fearless, even if your knees are quaking, yeah, more flowers for you and stuff. So, in that regard, you're my hero. Now,
oh.
this is a hero's journey that you're on now. And
Now I really need to get my music in Marvel. Like,
you
Olsen,
certainly do.
let's go.
You certainly do. I think that that stories that I heard, I watched Marvel's Moon Knight, and I envisioned Moon Knight, a couple of those scenes and stuff when they were dealing with the Egyptian gods and whatever, like right in that time when it's like a darkness, but there's like an emergence of like an understanding of the hero. Did you ever see Moon Knight?
Nah.
It's something worth watching. Matter of fact, offline I'll share the passwords and you can take a look. But yeah, it's a worthwhile watching, and I think that Marvel has some great series. Echo is another great series where I can hear your music in there. It's yet
Speak to
another.
them. You
Hmm?
just need to hit up the music supervisor and tell them you need to just send them my stuff. Oh,
I
just spam
you
them.
it would that I could. That's oh gosh, there's so much that the folks who really are good and rock with me like that. I feel like Leonidas with the Spartans. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Spartans is cool because they cool, but they also cool because they like the world's best killers. It's like they ain't no punks, but they also cool with me, and they'll do anything for the king. And y'all really do, for lack of better terms, make me feel like the king. So if there was a nod or somebody who I could tell, as soon as you come to me and say like, I got some spots here, I need some music to fill it, Rochelle, like ASAP, I'll flip the switch. So if you know somebody who you just need browbeating and get you on another charmed or something like that, but already in the works for things that I'm trying to create at the ground level, nowhere near as big. I'm not looking for music. I have music. I just need permission. So when the time comes, if there's something that you have a fit for that I'm trying to do, already know that it's just on you to say yes or no. That's
Well,
all. So
you have permission. Oh.
and that's recorded. Okay, all right. But yeah, if there's something bigger too, I'm not a hater like. If HBO like Issa Rae does another series and she needs some music and it involves exclusivity, in the rights. Okay, I'll set mine aside so you can go get that Issa Rae and stuff like. Because that's how the upward spiral works. I think that somewhere about 3/4 down your list of thank yous, if you throw something in O Jones direction, hey, I'm just saying it don't get done if you don't ask for it.
I'm giving you
So
your flowers now. Thank you.
that's what I'm saying. But I mean, on top of that, when you get on that stage and say, "Oh, there's so many people I want to thank. My mama, daddy, I gotta give shout out to God and my family. Oh, Jones, and what? Yeah, yeah, yeah. She said, shout out to old Jones. You heard that? Gerald will tell you on the radio and stuff. Every time I get a shout out, I will retweet that I got a shout out. My sense of gratitude is keen. It's better than my sense of smell. And so then I really mean that stuff. You have to be gracious and have gratitude for folks that are showing up for you in that way and stuff. So I
Right,
appreciate it. But now we're talking about a hero's journey, the adulation that we just talked about. There's trials, tribulations before there's true triumph. So there are changes over time to a hero. Hero day one is different than a hero today. I want to talk about those stages, three stages. First off, I want to talk about day one. When you first decided that you were going to be Rochelle or Hot 16 or whatever your first incarnation, you might have been somebody before I even came to know, you on this microphone. Um, Tell me about when you stepped up, as a hero would do to that microphone, and who were you day one? Just speak on
um day one I was always fearless, just rapping for whoever I could rap for. Like again, it was on that, look at me, I could rap, y'all, I could really rap. Like I knew that I always had something special, and I just kind of ran with it day one. And what is it, day two? What was the one what's the next day?
the next day is day 1001. That's the what, yeah, because I mean now you're talking 3 years, 3 years and some change in. So now day one, you've always been fearless. You might have more guts than credentials. But
Right,
when
right,
you get to
right.
day 1001, what's it looking like for you?
I think it's looking like you're starting to understand how the industry works and all the different facets of it, and just refining your craft. It's a lot of refining and building teams and pe- getting people on to build with your vision. I think that's really what that is about. um the energy and the passion is still the same. It's just shifted with the times.
It's an interesting thing that you say you're getting to know the industry and kind of know your place in it. I would call that seasoning. Given that, we talk about seasoning, we talk about flavor. You 3 years in and you get to know more. That could lend itself to a little good or a little bad, depending like, I understand how things work now. Would you say at that point you were a bit more bitter or a bit more sweet? Like what would be that effect of you knowing more and getting more seasoned? What do you think it did to your flavor?
It doesn't make me bitter, and it doesn't make me sweet, because my seasoning is always purpose, and it never
Mm.
changes based off my circumstances. It doesn't. It just, I'm just aware of more things, of the different things that are going on, but it doesn't change. I know what the outcome's going to be. Like a lot of people don't know. I know what the outcome's going to be. It's just about staying the course. It's about staying the course. And if the course takes a long time, that's just called the course of life. Nothing really nothing of value happens overnight. It just doesn't. Like, it's funny because a lot of stuff is going on with, like, crypto and NFTs and things like that. And I was just looking at like a NFT documentary like a couple days ago, and they're trying to figure out, like, what is this digital currency really worth? What is digital art or whatever? And this guy's painting, or not painting, I guess digital art, he sold for $60 million. Okay. Why was that worth $60 million? Like, I felt like it was worth $60 million because the value of time that he had put into his art. Like, he created a piece of artwork online digitally, um, every day for 5,000 days. And his final piece of art was like the collage of the 5,000 pictures. You know what I'm saying? You can't, it's something special about that time that he took to create all of that, like in every individual day. Time and value are like hand in hand. So it's no replacement for that. And just like with any other art, there's really no replacement for that when it's done right and it's done well.
Yeah,
It's just one of those things.
yeah, time and value go hand in hand. Well, I want to get one more bite at the apple because 1,001 is 3 years in. Um, what about last week? Like, now we're talking years in. Where are you in the journey now? What revelations do you have? What is that? And it might be something you've already answered it. If things haven't changed, things haven't changed.
I
But do you
think
think from that
uh,
point forward, what do you think?
I think it's just for me, it's learning how to embrace the tribulation, like for real. Like, usually my mind's just set on victory, but tribulation, it's so a part of victory. It's it's like almost like tribulation is the blood flow of your body, almost like you gotta accept it and embrace it in a different way. Like, this is like, you gotta get off the, dang, something else is happening again, something else is happening again, or this setback again, and this, that, and the other thing. It's just start like being one with it, essentially. Like, it's just a part of the, like, it's literally a part of the game. Like, you can't have one without the other, so you might as well embrace, this one thing. And um now I'm also looking at just changing my philosophy about the things that you can really do in this life and what you can get people to believe. Like, the Bible talks about your belief being more valuable than gold, because it is. It really is. Like, what you believe changes your story.
Hmm. So that's some real conversation. You embracing the trials and the tribulations as a part of it. I remember hearing the saying, if you're gonna call for rain, be prepared to deal with the mud. It's all one and the same
Yeah,
blessing.
it's it's wrapped together. Like,
Right. If you understand that, then like it's not, oh goodness, I'm tracking mud in the house. It's, oh wow, how wonderful we're not in a drought.
yeah, yeah,
It's like I get to grow crops, and the price for my crops is a muddy floor, but I'm not starving by a long shot.
right.
Got it. Okay. Well,
It's
now embracing those parts of the journey, those tribulations, and also seeing triumph in it all. That's certainly a hero's journey. I think something else that makes for a hero, especially a superhero, is that you have to deal with super villainy. Now, what I've come to find, in this so-called real life, is that a lot of our super villains that heroes such as yourself would face, they're grown from within, or they're perceived from within going outward. You got fear, especially fear of monsters that either haven't shown up yet or never will show up. And then
right.
the dreaded imposter syndrome, you know. those types of things, that trepidation that'll hold you back, that'll rob you of your life and of your time, which as the sands in the hourglass fall, you're not getting any bit of those back once it's spent. You
Right.
got delayed action, regret, mourning. Um, Even after you finally get going, you start thinking, golly, I took years before I even got going on this thing. So now that said, and it sounds like you're in accordance with what I'm putting down here. Uh, how do you fight those types of inner or outward? If you got any super villains, and what advice might you have for us, or even if you speak to your younger self, just the wisdom of going through it. What say you about fighting those super villains?
Um, yeah, I do believe like the super villains come from within. Like I'm my worst enemy and I know it. And I know all the flaws that I have with like paranoia and different things that cause me to move slow on certain things or just over plan or not taking action. And I think action is the answer. And I'm saying all this and still would have to deal with the same thing. Like I wish I could just say stuff and just like follow what I say. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you can give good advice, but can you please, Rochelle? Can you take the advice that you give? Like if you know the answer, you know you need to be doing this. Where's the disconnect? Why aren't you doing this? You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know if I should just sit and try to figure out why, but probably I just need to do it. I just need to continue to take steps and stop thinking about things so much. Like I'll just you just make up all these scenarios in your head and like think about what other people think about you and what you should and shouldn't be doing, and then you're sending out your music and stuff. Or are you being am I being annoying? I'd be annoyed by this, but if the person is annoyed by it, it's only annoying by they're only annoyed by it for like 2 seconds, but you spending 2 hours thinking about like your moves and how you move, and it's stupid. Like it really is stupid. And I think like um I think it's important to master yourself in life and master your thoughts in life, your thought habit. And that's why I'm always reading the Bible. Like I'm in the word every single day because I know it shapes my mind, it renews my mind to from everything that's hitting it every day, the inputs of what I see, um, what's going on in life. It just you have to get a constant refresher. You have to be reminded. Like the thing about us as humans, like naturally, we just always forget. Like we always forget. We can't, it's like we don't have instant recall when bad things happen, or like even the good things. Like we're not pulling from the good things that happen in our past. It's like we almost can't think about it, or we need to take time out to like be still and think about that type of stuff because we're always moving and the world is always moving. Like you said, the hourglass, the sand, I think of it as a metronome. It's a constant beat or whatever, and the beat's not stopping. You just better be able to dance around the beat as it keeps going. Don't get tripped up. You just got to keep it moving. It's like a song that keeps playing. You know what I'm saying? You just got to get the rhythm of the song that's playing.
Hmm. All right, I'll get that. It seems like time as something that you traverse rather than something that's running out.
Right.
And you just like, okay, so the tick tock of the metronome is just a song, and you know that the song ends when, who knows? I mean, to an extent, you don't know how, but if you keep the beat, then you can keep the steps. And if you keep the steps, you dancing through this life. Huh.
With the bars, take
With
that.
the bars.
Take that, Jones. Yeah.
With the bars. No, you got the bars, but I
I
mean,
did that alley oop. You didn't dunked
you
it
did
in.
the I'll take it. I mean, I think that too, in kind of defeating or dealing with those supervillains, you made mention of something that gave me a call back to something you said earlier when you were talking about approaching your door with the ring camera. And I think that people's self talk, your self talk, whether you dismiss it in lieu of others talk about you, but the things that you say to yourself are uber important, whether you realize it or not. And it tickled me that when you were talking about approaching that ring cam, the first thing you didn't like, I would say, there's nothing that Rochelle can't do that is not beautiful. She just leaks beauty. It's just effortless. And then you said, why are you walking like that? Get some posture about yourself. And I'm going like, I wonder um, if on your journey you had to realize that like the stuff that's going to power you has largely to do with what you speak to those inner demons. Once you realize that the stuff is born within, you can also tell it to shut up. You know,
That's
when you need to, you can tell yourself that you're way more powerful when it won't be quiet. You can say, all right, well, you're going to act up, but realize that you're Lex Luthor, but I'm Superman. Like, you know, like you can speak to it like that. Uh, it's, would you agree that that's even more powerful, even in the positive of what people external? Like, I'm a fan. I could tell you all day about what's great about you, but until you say it to yourself,
right.
okay, I just check.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
Okay.
the thing that's difficult is that when you are feeling like a certain way, it's so subtle that you
Mm,
don't even know that you're really deep into it by the time it's, um, by the time it becomes like a real problem.
mm, mm.
And then it's like now you have to work extra hard to pull yourself out of that stuff. But it just happens so subtly. Like it's very hard to catch and hard to remember what to do when you're in it.
Facts. Well, now I will say at this point, and you've led and referred to it several times, and so then it's got to be something that's true to you, your faith, your grounding in the words of the good word. And I'm compelled to let you know that like my superhero is my mom, and she really dwelt on one particular verse that gave her peace. I've always known her. I always knew her as a peaceful person, but she used to ruminate on one particular verse, and actually it was just the first part of the verse that I would find out. Before I even picked up a book and knew what it was Psalm 46:10. And I'll take from the New International Version because that seems to drop a whole bunch of the King James hithers and thons there and talk like regular folk.
Right?
Yeah, just saying, I mean,
Yeah.
I like the what black folk would call the real Bible, the King James, but every now and again the hereuntos can get a little unnerving. So
Right.
it says, "Be still and know that I am God." And she would break it down: "Be still and know that I am God." In its entirety, for that phrasing being blessed assurance, be still and know that I am. Like that, in a time where you're coming out of polytheism and there's a whole bunch of gods, that I am, the God of Moses. It says that it is the I am that sent me. Knowing that God is that's all that he is, everything and all that there is ever will be. Seek him. Be
Right.
still and know. If you just drop the I am and just say, you know what, chill. Be still and know that all there is to know is of and with him. But if you just chill, realize that, be still and know, be assured. Like you said, you know the ending, know it.
Right.
Then just be still. Don't be anxious, don't be too angry, don't be too anything. Take a beat, take a breath, meditate, and just be still. And then finally be, to exist, sometimes to endure, but through it all, just at peace, just be. But she would break each part of that down, and it would be like a whole Bible in just that verse and stuff. And every time she said it, I never interrupted because I think that some things about wisdom, even if they're the same words, they just hit like you need it in that moment. And so then that was her verse, her saying that was kind of a guiding light that I'll remember from here on. I'll put it to you. Do you have a verse? Is that your verse there, or do you have some other verse, or even a saying? It doesn't have to be scriptural. It doesn't have to be from the Bible, but you got some words that you kind of call on as, you'll call for mighty Isis or Shazam. What's your words that kind of that you speak to you at the core?
Well, first I want to say I love how your mother broke down that verse. I
Mm,
think what you just said there was exactly how you meditate on the word. Like
mm.
breaking down that that scripture in such a way. You know what I'm saying? You spent like 2 minutes breaking it down in such a way. I think that's like meditation. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I gotta steal that from your mom. I gotta break down scriptures
Absolutely. Go
like
right ahead. She'd love it.
timely. You know what I'm saying? Because I think like really we can do so much off of one scripture. But like the way my brain thinks is like I think of everything at once. And if I'm thinking of everything at once, nothing is getting done. And it's something about slowing, being still again, and just consuming in such a way like that. Um, I need to take that with me. Good stuff. Oh, but my scripture is like Philippians 4:6 through 7 maybe. Uh, kind of goes along the lines of be still, but it says, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything." Thank God for all that He's done, and you'll have like peace beyond understanding. That peace beyond understanding. We're trading in our cares for, you know, being thankful and just praying. Like it's a trade-off. Like we ain't supposed to care, we ain't supposed to worry. Like that's God's job. Quit doing God's job. Like this is why we're all out of line, because we're trying to do God's job. And and I really believe that the antidote for struggle is believing. So it's more of like trusting God to do his job so I can have this peace beyond understanding. Like it could be chaos all around, but I'm in such a peaceful state, and just it don't even bother me. You know why it doesn't bother me? Because I casted my cares. I'm not worried because I'm praying and God's handling that for me. Um, if I could just stand on that scripture.
Say it one more time. What's that scripture?
Philippians 4:6 through 7.
1 6 through 7.
Yeah.
Bars. Bars by the original. That's a
Listen,
real,
what you call
real
that
comment.
is full of bars.
That's
Proverb.
full of bars. That is store up not for yourselves. You storing them bars up in heaven, them bars.
Yeah, like reading a proverb a day, a proverb chapter a day to change your life.
I've heard that when I was in Bible school back with Bible study back in school over on campus in Alabama. I went to a non-denominational Bible-based church, and when we'd have our we do the prayer groups on Mondays, and we'd have I think it was Bible study on Wednesdays, I believe. It might have changed to Saturdays, but between that and the sermonettes that we would do on Sunday, I was always told that wherever you pick from the Bible, you good, but you should stay in the Gospels. So it's like you do some reading in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and then you go Old Testament, like like you said with Proverbs, whatever, go over a Psalm, whatever you doing, but supplant that with the Gospels because you need to hear from the master teacher, like every day. So stay in, rotate that four and make that a part of your heart, and then do something from the other book. And that stuck with me more than like tracks or study guides that I have. It's just a general, if I ever pick up just the Bible just random, then I'll be like, let me read this up, and while I'm here, and then I just go to the gospel. So very interesting. And it was apparent even before we got to this point in the conversation that your faith plays, and it allows you to I wouldn't say like approach this life playfully, but certainly approach it with the God got it, versus the woe is me that a lot of people sad as it may seem, are facing this life. You know,
Right.
you get to exude and exhibit and kind of ride light because you understand the place of tribulation. It's like, you know what? Yeah, it's hard. I'm not gonna downplay that, but I got a God that's harder. You know, so let me mind my business and let those cares go where they supposed to go when I leave them. So I get that. That's real conversation. That's some bars.
Yeah, and yeah, and not to just yeah, the woe is me thing too. Like anybody can get into it. Like I deal with like a lot of deep depression stuff. You know,
Sure.
and when my mind is off, it's just what it is. I have to like rebalance all the time or whatever because life be life is sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
Fact.
And if your mind not right and if that's all you're focused on or you know what I'm saying? Like you're getting so distracted by all these different things that it's easy for your mind to think backwards. And my mind will think backwards a lot. So I always have to get myself on the forward path. So just don't think that I over here got it all together or whatever, because it's definitely a battle. Because it's just like, dang, who wanna? I think about like if I wasn't so entrenched in purpose, I think about like, man, who wanna go through this? You know what I'm saying? Like you get up and then it's down and up. It's it's crazy. Like life is crazy. Like
It, I think though I can't figure out what the T-shirt is yet, but when you spit that bar and you said your seasoning is purpose, and I go like, it's something. I don't know if it's the salt and pepper shaker on the like the little packages of salt where you had a little girl with the umbrella and it's like salt. Something about it, yeah. It's like you know what? The season, you even speaking like season, like a time of light,
yeah.
something like that. But it's like, that seasoning that you talking about is purpose. That's why my flavor stays. It's the seasoning is purpose, and I'm going. That's bars. I
If I
can't
do a
quite.
shirt like that, I'm gonna cut you in.
You know what? I will celebrate some Monopoly money. I got no problem with it. And then when it show up, I don't have to clear my throat so hard because I'll be like, you remember when you had said? But again, spirit of gratitude. I mean, if you make a meal and throw me a couple of thou wow, I'm all right. Because it's certainly mortgages out here to be paid. But
Right.
I think that beyond it, I'm enriched. Forget the rich is. I'm enriched by the conversation. So I appreciate this, and I mean we rounding the curve and heading from second to third. I think that like I said, I'm a dessert first type of guy. It's on the table at the start of the banquet, so I'm digging in. We got the appetizers in, delicious salad, couple of chips and dip, but I want to get to some beef. Now I can't imagine you having like beef, but maybe you do, maybe not. But we're talking prime cuts here. We're at the entree portion of the conversation there. We mentioned earlier, like in your hero's journey, you have stepped up. And let's say now you're stepping up to a table. Maybe it's a table that you built. People say, what did you bring to the table? Heck, I brought the wood, I brought the nails, I built this table, that kind of thing. But at this table, you stepped up and you took your seat. So this is your chance to talk that talk. It's a four-parter here, and I'll feed it to you in pieces here. So then when a place or a spot at the table or a seat is yours, then first thing you do is you claim it. So speak a minute on how you claimed your space, your spot at your table.
You sit down.
Mm,
You sit down.
okay,
What you came to do. That's sitting
okay.
down. Like
I get something in there. I think that gosh, back when I was in school, one of the things that we did in legal studies, we talked about and let me land this one. But we talk about assault and battery. The difference between the two, they're coupled together. But assault is if I lunge at you and you feel threatened. I don't have to touch you. That's assault. So it's an assault on your senses. Battery is simple touching that was unwanted. So then I don't even have to scare you to batter you. I could just reach up and push your shoulder and you go, hey, you're not scared. You're not threatened in any way and stuff like that. But yeah, cut it out. So the two are aligned because you usually would follow one with the other. When you say sit down, here's the paradox that we talked about in legal studies. If you sit down knowing that the seat will be there and knowing that that seat is yours and you're sitting down to claim it, and then someone moves it and you just thunk the floor, well, I didn't commit assault because you weren't afraid, but that's definitely batter because I precipitated battery there. Now, if you're worried about that kind of battery, you'll come to the table, you'll step to that spot, you earn that spot. You prepare to step into that groove and plant your butt in the seat that is yours, but then you keep looking back like, is somebody going to take my seat? Is somebody going to pull my seat? Is somebody occupying that seat that's supposed to be mine? And am I going to have to, you know, gently but firmly ask them to move? The powerful answer of you saying you sit in it because it's yours, that's bars. I
Did
mean, I
that.
think that, I mean, yeah, go ahead, speak on that.
You just spoke on it,
Okay.
Jones.
I'm just saying, I don't want to like put the words in and it not be something like, that wasn't what I was talking about at all. Okay.
That was on point.
Okay. Just making sure. Because I think that that is a fear that I've observed in other artists. Because as much as um, I would relish, just if I'm being honest, that I find some shying away artist that's totally not you. I've already spilled them beans. But if you were diminutive, Rochelle, and I say, oh, Rochelle, you just like you all world. If you just show the world and you bloom because I said so, then I could be like, yeah, yeah, she didn't know she was that great, but I told her, and then she woke up and turned up. That would be wonderful. That would certainly feed my ego. It would be very far from the truth. And it wouldn't be the same thing. I actually think that the whole reason Jimmy Olsen can poke his chest out is because he knows Superman. He knows Clark Kent, but he can hit a button on his ring and Superman will show up. So everybody else is dialing 911. He's dialing the big blue guy. So it's one of them like I could wake up a Rochelle Bloom and say like I have that credit. But it's a whole lot better if Rochelle Bloom is already super and then looks and says, that's my dude. Oh, it's a different thing. You sit at that table and say, hey, this is my chair. I don't have to issue anything like don't nobody touch it. It's mine. And I'm finna eat.
Yeah.
So okay.
But we
So
all
now
eat, So if I'm eating, the whole squad eating.
what? Okay. See now you jumped into another one of mine there stuff. I was gonna say you clean up and arrange and show that you care there. So I want to do that one. But you went you got to the third one where you host others, you bring others along. So then if a table and a spot is yours and it's your table and you sitting there, if somebody else comes up, you like, hey, we all eating. Hey, get you some of this rib. Like that and stuff. So definitely I can see you agree with that. But I want to pop back up to the second one. If a space or a place at a table is yours, you clean up, you arrange it. You kind of move things around on that table like you want it. Even if it's preset, and that's kind of you clearing your space with regard to like your career in the music and you claiming your space in the alt, the hip hop, the pop, however you're framing it.
Mhm.
um how might you say that you've cleared your space at this table that you kind of built and you selected?
So, as in, like, who else am I bringing in, or what else
Well,
am I?
no, the bringing in part, I think that's answered the third question. Now, after this, I'm going to skip to the fourth one because you nailed that one. Like, a space is yours. You're inviting other people to it. I'll certainly invite more commentary on it, but in so much as like you straightening up. Like when you sit down at the table to eat, and it could be that there's nothing else left to do when you
Oh,
sit.
like, oh, just straightening up, like,
Yeah,
career and what I'm doing in
yeah.
my I think straightening up is unionizing, music.
Mm,
Like, it doesn't make sense to me that, um, the TV film world has, unions. They get paid on time, and everything is like when they're ready to make change, they can come together and strike, and music doesn't have it. Like,
mm,
how is that possible? Like, you know, really all we gotta do is embrace however they're doing their system and put it in our system and figure out a way to do that. I know somebody on the front line, Tiffany Red is heavily doing that stuff right now for us, which is dope, awesome, and amazing. Because we don't even know, like a lot of artists don't even know, like how to talk to Congress and lobby and all this other stuff that we really need to do to make changes in the system so everybody can eat. Um, it just needs to be it needs to be reframed. Period. It's a lot of just we don't treat each other right. We always trying to rob and do greedy stuff over each other, take credit, just stuff that just don't make sense. And it just the music industry needs to be reframed, period. And
mm.
at that point, I definitely have to do my part in reframing it, whatever I have to do, um, for the industry as a whole. It just don't make sense. And it doesn't make sense to sit around and complain about it all the time. Like Tiffany's like the first person I've ever seen saying, "Hey, this don't make sense. I got a team together. We're talking about it. We're trying to get some laws changed, kind of thing, so everybody could continue to eat and continue to make great music and feel good about their contribution in the music industry and feel good about working in the music industry and just continue to make it thrive."
You bring up a valid point. Huh. I think in several industries, the treatment that they get being better than what it was before happened when people kind of coalesced and took the power that should have always been theirs.
Right,
They finally get together and say, like unionize is a powerful word. Where you say like, all right, you don't have any avenues of what one won't do, another one will, because we're all united in saying, you know what, it might not be this for everybody. Somebody might have higher standards, but the bare minimum, you're going to do this, this, and this if you want to bring to bear the talents of people in the music community. Because, like you said, in others, like if you're restaurant wait staff, if you are a pilot or a flight attendant, if you work in the medical field, there's different auto workers, stuff like that. All of these pockets of people who beforehand you work in a factory, okay, well the pay is 15 cent per brake pad installed. I can't make a living on that. Well, fine. Do you want it? And you go to another and another. But if everybody who has that expertise coalesces and says, you know what, it's time, they're going to come for each one of us individually, and the price will be down to 5 cents if you guys hold a standard. But if everybody says it's 20 cents per piece and there's a base salary, then they can't mistreat any of us if we hold together at the center. I have not heard that kind of talk, especially at the indie music level. I hear a lot more talk about people getting jerked on deals, be it a standard label deal or 360. There would be a lot less of that. You're right. If we had people working the legislative branch saying that it's just plain old against the law to do some things, and also working with each other, like you said, treating artists treating themselves better amongst themselves. You
right.
know that I never heard of this. How long is as Tiffany Red and how long has that been going on?
I don't know. I guess one of my friends just put me on like a
Okay,
couple months ago, but she's probably been doing it for a while. I'm not entirely sure about that whole movement, but
hey,
check it
they got
out.
the right one. I mean,
Yeah,
if
for
you if
sure.
you line up with them, That sounds powerful. Keep me. I Yeah. Put me down with that and stuff. I mean, I'm not like a musician, but I certainly somebody's got to give you guys like your due. I don't got it to give you. I can just give you flower after flower after flower. But the
But it
CW,
takes everybody, you know. You
yeah,
know, you don't have to be a musician. It just takes everybody who loves music because at the end of the day, whether you know it or not, you're affected by it too. When
fact.
people, can't do certain things because the money ain't right or people are doing crazy politic things and like it affects you too because then we're not being able to get out the music that you like to listen to.
Well, now you inadvertently knocked out the last question. But the bars, I mean, that's why I gotta let the bar talk flow from the one with the bars. So to recap, um, you sitting down at this table, you already talked about claiming your space. You just sit down. This is my space. So you just sit down, clean up, arrange it, get some straightening with something as powerful a concept as unionizing. You already talked about like if I'm eating, we all eat. So bringing folks along. This table ain't just for me. If it's my table or if it's my spot, I can welcome others to it. And then when you talked about the way that you go about that unionizing and defending, that fourth question that I was going to ask is if a place is yours, you defend it and you fight for it. So then to put a bow on it, do you think that that's something that will continue, or is this a problem that once you fix it, it's over and everybody can just move on and do art?
um I think again there's hurdles to everything,
Mm-hmm.
so you just can't
Mm-hmm.
count it out. Again, life tribulation is a part of life. Embrace it. Count on it.
Count on the tribulation. Learn
Yes.
the beat of the metronome and dance to it while the song is playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bars. That's bars. It's real conversation with Rochelle Bloom here. Now, I want to give you a little chance to cook some of this beef that we're talking about. Um, Things happen on your hero's journey. There's trials and tribulations. A lot of it is born from the inside. But to be frank and not to snow the issue, a lot of it comes from external forces. You know, um, I want you to tell me, about these external forces to the extent that you can. I call them the ambiguous they. They did this to me. They hold me up. Uh, they were trying to do X when I was trying to do Y. To the extent that you can you name a they, or can you tell me what types of things externally that wasn't just fear, it was actual, this is a problem that I've had to face in my lifing, what you did about it, um, heck, whether it made you want to quit, and if you got over that, just kind of speak to the trials outside of you that you had to face and how you get over and through.
Um, what's interesting about me is like external um setbacks or what are we calling these people again? The theys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that exists. I really don't. I think that like again, it's not externally, it's all internally. Like I'm my biggest enemy. I'm my biggest setback. You know what I'm saying? It's a fight with me, not with anybody else. Everybody else is just like uh a virtual reality thing. Like, like if you're playing the Ninja Turtles or something, and then you have the other ninjas that the Ninja Turtles are fighting, like they don't really exist though. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just about you going through it. It They exist, but they don't. They don't have no real stay power. You know what I'm saying? It's all about how you think about things and how you move. Like external factors don't dictate anything to me. to be honest, like they
Interesting. Now I agree with you. I think the spaces that we meet and re-meet all the time, if that's such a word, but the places that we inhabit, like community radio, the free worldwide web, those places lend themselves to those kinds of answers. But I think that there may be a listener or two that would hear and say, "Oh well, sure, if she got Joe Budden's comment and fire on her stuff, if she got the CW like lead Sunday programming, putting her music on, then her answer's gonna be different than mine." I want to give you a chance to put apples to apples and oranges to oranges. So I'll just throw out a couple of scenarios that are not so contrived that people would probably say to you, and then kind of let you give a knee jerk, or if you got time, a well considered response to fighting the external demon. What if someone was to say, you know what, the big station, and we're in town here, so we don't have to necessarily give it a name, but I'll just call it corporate radio. Corporate radio ain't gonna play my ish. That's a real intractable foe. What do you say to that? Does that matter?
um when you roll with God, there's no such thing as impossible. Okay? So like things open up, things change, like seas split. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
you could walk through the furnace and not burn up. Like, and it's multiple ways of doing different things. Like you can't just set things off of one simple thing. Like for me, like again, like I'm not on social media. And that's by choice, you know what I'm saying? It's a spiritual thing that I had noticed, and I made a shift not to be on that. Now anybody else you talk to be like, oh, in order to make it, blah blah blah, you got to be on social media and this, that, and the other thing. But for me, it was a submission because I'm so ambitious, and I'm always out making moves, whatever, like pushing toward, this goal of my the 8 Grammys and networking and all that fun stuff. But like for me, being off of it was a form of submission, saying, okay, cool, I'm a be still, God, I trust you. All right, I'm not leaning on my own understanding, I'm gonna trust you because I see what this social media stuff is doing to me spiritually. I'm gonna trust you and not like do all this extra stuff. And let me tell you, like, the charm thing, like I had more success not being on social media than I had being on there. And so you can't just you're always going to have hurdles. Just know, I guess it's what you believe. My God, take care of hurdles. There's no hurdles when you roll it with God. So you may think there's a hurdle and you just embrace it because it's a part of it, but we jump hurdles. Like it don't matter. Like external factors don't matter when you serve a big God. What is a problem to a big God? Like when you get a real revelation of that, man, it's nothing you can do. It's nothing that you can't do. Like you can do all things through Christ. He really mean that stuff. Like you get
I'm
what you
trying to
believe. What do you
remember.
believe? What do you
I'm
believe?
trying to you brought hurdles to mind, and I'm trying to remember. I think I read something interesting. You had auxiliaries in high school. Were you track and field, a band, or what were you doing in high school?
Rapping.
Oh, okay. I thought you was like okay. I thought it might have been track and field or something like that. Because I think one thing that people don't get about like the hurdle event, to your point, you don't have to jump the hurdles. The hurdles are there. The most expedient way for a speedy trackster is to jump over a hurdle. And I've seen it because Tuskegee University had a pretty good track team back, when I was growing up in Tuskegee. And what they would do is they put like a dime or a nickel. I think a nickel was easier to balance, and they put a nickel on top of the hurdle. And so then when you're running, you got somewhere between 11 and 13 steps from one hurdle to the next. So you cover that distance as fast as you can. And so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, kick. And then when you kick and you jump, the idea is to clear that hurdle with minimal space. You really got it when you just knock over that nickel, but don't touch the hurdle. That's about as close as a human can get at full speed to clearing the hurdle and moving on to the next. But in truth, if you're like the Juggernaut, off of the X-Men, you can just run through the hurdles. You know, it'll slow you down, but it's not against the rules. A lot of people trip up and get tangled on the hurdles because they think they have to jump over 'em. In truth, another strategy is just you run, run, run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, throw. And just throw the hurdle. Just get it out the way. So your alternatives,
Can somebody do that?
well, I'm sure people have done it. Um, Certainly, my strategy might be just to get by the hurdle because I ain't got no vertical. So, so if I could get somebody to just edge those hurdles a little bit over and then just run along, because you have to stay in the lane. That's the
Okay.
whole point. Now I have seen people foot the hurdle. Like if you put your foot and then just push down the hurdle and then land on it and keep running, but
Uh-huh.
those things are slipperier than a cinder track. So you're gonna probably mess up and fall if you do it that way. The most expedient way is the way that track stars are doing it now. But I say all that to say that a lot of times you think the game is laid out one way. When you're on the highway, you have those lanes of traffic. But you've seen that when stuff gets piled up, people get into the little service lanes and they drive by. Well, tires will fit in there as well. You can drive on the sidewalk. If you got to get somewhere, that
Right.
kind of thing. But if you're stuck in saying, "Oh, I can't move anywhere but inside these yellow lines," well, that's your hurdle. That's you refusing to see that there's another way. Um, that Die Hard movie with Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson,
Mhm.
that version where they had to make it across town in like 15 minutes, or Simon says, "You're gonna blow the city up," and he says the quickest way is through Central Park. And Samuel Jackson used to drive a cab, and he was saying like, "Oh, traffic around here is going to be madness. Central Park Drive is going to be plugged up." He says, "I didn't say Central Park Drive," and he jerked the wheel. "I said Central Park," and he drove through the park. That's somebody who saw the problem in a different way.
Right, right, right.
So you snatching the wheel and you driving through the park and whatnot, because that obstacle, it's not to diminish if someone sees commercial radio as their path to greatness because you got millions of listeners, whereas other channels don't have that million. Well, yeah, but if you continue to look at somewhere that's not going to give you the avenue that you need, well, I reckon it will be an obstacle. But you offer that if you either change your framing of the problem or
Yeah.
realize that you left that problem to an all powerful God and it's no longer a problem because that's how you see it, the problem gets faced. I mean, it gets diminished. Like, it's taken care of. So
Right.
I think that's real conversation there. Well, in our waning minutes, and I so thank you for your time here. A lot of times people ask what's up. I like to ask what's now. You left behind. Well, not left behind. You're still dealing with life and the so-called problems and stuff. But I think you take them to the source, leave what you need to leave, maneuver how you need to maneuver. But you got things popping right now, stuff that maybe we aren't aware of or not enough aware of. Take a moment. Let us know what you got going on, what you would want us to know, what you need us to do for you. Just speak on that.
Um, well, released the last single a couple weeks ago. It's called Vapid Water. It's doing good. Just share, 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 share. Add, play, 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 share. The general stuff.
Right.
That's currently out now. Do you want me to talk about what's coming out next week?
Sure. Whatever you feel. I mean, I know that it's your campaign. You might have some stuff that's top secret. Don't share that. But the stuff that you want us to know and the stuff that you'd like us to do, tell us.
Um, and again, the single is out. Play, 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 play. next week, Electric Circus, my album's coming out.
Okay.
Um, which is going to be an incredible experience for people who listen to it. I'm super excited about it. I did this in part of, well, the sonically I did this, but my grandfather did like the visuals for it, as far as like make a portrait of like each record, a painting of each record. So that was just like a dope combination of everything. So eventually I'm gonna raffle off one of the paintings, but everything else is gonna be bidded for.
Oh, okay.
Uh
Your
so
pawpaw little change. Okay. All
yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly. Well deserving, well deserving. And it
Absolutely.
kind of moving into the NFT space a little bit with all that different stuff. Um but yeah, just the music's coming out back to back to back to back, and just play it, share it, share it, share it, share it, share it. If anybody want to hear something like a new dope circus experience,
Absolutely.
gonna take you somewhere. So if you're ready for the ride, let's go.
Folks, I can say what you want to do also is go to Rochelle Bloom, ROCHELLEBLOOM.com. The social media stuff, it's over for that. But of course, the videos are on YouTube
Yeah,
that I've observed there, and you that's kind of a clearinghouse. RochelleBloom.com is where you can get with that, and do yourself a solid and get on her email list as well, because
yes,
everything that you think you lose off of the social, you gain in a closeness when it comes to those. I don't know that anybody nowadays would remember getting an actual letter that's not like a bill or something like that, but someone that took time to write a thing or to write back. You get that experience in e format with this email format that she does. There's a little bit more thought and it's a bit more personable. Now that said, don't blow her up. If you ain't got nothing to say, but hey, do that somewhere else. But if you got something to say, or if you just want to get something that is a personal touch, and you want to be in the know about Rochelle Bloom, go to the site, sign up for the e-newsletter, and what she told you here, she'll tell you that again. Plus, you can stay up. You can catch up and stay up with. Her. Is that accurate?
that's very accurate.
Okay, all right.
You know the email list is everything. Where I get personal with people, where we can connect over music and different life situations. Yeah, it got me thinking like, yo, it would be dope to do like a real letter though.
Ooh, goodness gracious, yes.
It like, did they do that back in the day? Was it like when they had fan? I know they had fan mail back in the day, but did artists like send fan mail back, like in a general sense?
Let me
Do you
tell
know?
you, changed my life. 1988. Fear of a Black Planet. Public Enemy was coming out. My cousin was dating a girl. He went to Auburn University, the cross state rival. I was going to the University of Alabama. He ran into he was dating her, but she was dating one of the S1Ws. For those guys that are like doing the step routines in the Public Enemy videos.
Mhm.
Yeah, the guy's name was Michael Williams, and she was dating him at the time. And I wrote a letter to Public Enemy and like got it to him to give to Chuck D, Flav, Terminator X, all of them, just like that. And it was like a letter to Santa Claus. I didn't expect we didn't have any vehicles or social media, any means of contact, and I didn't expect anything back. That not only did they get back to me, they didn't get back to me through my cousin. They took the return address off of my envelope. I sent it to my cousin. He gave it to her. She gave it to him. Apparently, somebody there, I want to say Michael himself, looked at it, and I got responses from Chuck D and from Michael Williams. Changed my life.
That's fire.
Yeah, the Mr.
He's a
Ridenour, but it does something when you get opportunity to touch somebody, and that's Chuck D in '88. So it could very well be that he had an underling in the office. Don't know, don't care. As far
Yeah,
as I'm
yeah. We want to believe your story.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. I'll if you just give me a little bit. I mean, I don't it don't take much.
Yeah,
If Michelle just sit down, throw an arm around me, squeeze, cheese, take a picture, I'll run with that for years. I like I
yeah.
was sitting next to Michelle. And that's it. But it's so few artists that will do that. I think that what you do in the East space is a lot. But if you messed around and did that, like, you know, to the
Yeah.
extent that you can, a physical
Right.
letter, ooh, mess around, spray some perfume on it. But before you do, get sponsorship from that perfume, whoever it is. Be like, hey, I'm finna spritz a letter with something. I'd like it
Hmm.
to be you. I'd like for you to, these albums don't make themselves, get some sponsorship. See, I'm giving you game, I'm giving you
Man,
ideas.
I'm gonna have to have you on my marketing team.
What? I'm already on your team, but whatever you need, I got everything that I have to give for you. I think it's the least that I can do. I can't pay you anywhere near what you're worth, but I respect you enough to try. And what I can do is pay homage to you.
We gonna cut this marketing conversation out.
Mm. I want them to know I'm on your team and you on mine. You
That's
answered the
good.
call. You know what I'm saying? You answered
Like,
the call, and a lot of people won't do that. I am grateful for you. And as we close, I just want to say thank you. I want to say to everyone who deigned listen and get to this point in our podcast, thanks for checking out the latest real conversation from Oh My Talking Head, a production of Oh No He Did Entertainment under the auspices of Cottrell Jones Multimedia, respectfully and respectively. And you can find us most everywhere online. Oh My Talking Head at Oh No He Did ENT and at Cottrell Jones MM. All of these are highly Googleable. If you're worried about the spelling, just go looking and it'll show up as me and mine. So do us a favor, look us up and hook us up with a like, share, follow. On behalf of myself, the O Jones, and on behalf of Rochelle Bloom, I want to thank you for tuning in. Rochelle, you got any parting words for the people?
uh, be still and know the Lord, cause that's what we gonna leave with.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm just gonna pretend that you went home with me one day, and I'll be like, Mama, this is Rochelle, and that woo woo. Now
I
you'd
mean,
have
you
to
could
put.
still take my music home to her and be like, "Hey,
I wouldn't do that. Actually, I mean, I joke with you on that, but as soon as I would show up with you, there would be talk of grandchildren, so I wouldn't do that. But I do appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you." Oh.
Absolutely.